In the new audio clips of Hillary Clinton's upcoming memoir obtained by Morning Joe, Clinton also describes in detail her reaction to Mr. Trump standing ominously near her. You remember this, near her as she delivered answers during the second presidential debate.
This is not okay, I thought. It was the second presidential debate, and Donald Trump was looming behind me. 2 days before, the world heard him brag about groping women. Now we were on a small stage, and no matter where I walked, he followed me closely, staring at me, making faces. It was incredibly uncomfortable. He was literally breathing down my neck. My skin crawled. It was one of those moments where you wish you could hit pause and ask everyone watching, well, what would you do? Do you stay calm, keep smiling, and carry on as if he weren't repeatedly invading your space? Or do you turn, look him in the eye, and say loudly and clearly, back up, you creep, get away from me. I know you love to intimidate women, but you can't intimidate me, so back up.
Jonathan Allen co-wrote Shattered Inside Hillary Clinton's Doomed Campaign, also a columnist for Roll Call. And Zerlina Maxwell, former director of progressive media for the Clinton campaign, also currently director of progressive programming for Sirius XM. Jonathan, let me start with you there in D.C., sir. Your initial reaction to just the excerpts that we've heard.
Well, certainly there are a couple of things at work here. The one that we just heard about President Trump lurking behind her. If you did that at a Target, somebody would call the police on you. I think it was a very uncomfortable moment for a lot of people watching that debate at the time. And I think that the way that Hillary Clinton handles this in her book is to ask that question that I think so many women have had to ask themselves when put in uncomfortable situations by men. And she's, I think, reaching out to women in particular with that section of the book, saying, look, there's not an easy decision here. What do you do? Do you just keep carrying on, or do you turn around and call him a creep? And obviously, she, as she said, went with the former. Sounds like there's a little bit of regret in her heart about that, about not calling him out. Certainly, if she'd called him a creep, it would have been no worse than things that he called her on the campaign trail. But the other part of this, Craig, I think, you know, in addition, the other excerpt talks about her sort of thoughts on the campaign in general, and we hear from her for the first time that she feels, directly from her, that she feels like she let people down, she didn't get the job done. That's something my co-author Amy Parnes and I reported in our book Shattered, that she had, you know, when the election was over that night, really felt this incredible sense of having let not only herself down, but the Democratic Party down, and also she believed America down, and President Obama.
Zerlina, you also get the sense from one of those excerpts that this is something that's going to eat away at her for literally the rest of her life. That clip where, again, one of the many clips where you see President Trump, now President Trump, sort of looming in the shadows, is that at all, you think, emblematic of the role that gender played in that race?
Yes, and I think that in the context of that particular moment, remember, 2 days before this debate is when the Access Hollywood tape came out. And so right before this debate in St. Louis, I was there. Donald Trump staged a Facebook Live where he lined up a number of different women who have accused Bill Clinton, her husband, of inappropriate behavior, and he sat them in the debate hall, essentially to publicly shame Hillary Clinton for what her husband did. So there was an underlying dynamic happening even without the stalking her around the stage. And when that actually happened, I remember I was in the staff hold and I looked at my boss and I said, he's stalking her around the stage. What is he doing? Why is he standing over her like that? Get away from her. Because it was, I mean, you've probably seen Hillary Clinton in person. She's a very small woman. She's tiny. And so essentially what he was doing was asserting his dominance over her and trying to intimidate her. But that goes, it's part and parcel with Donald Trump's behavior overall throughout the election. And so this was one of those egregious moments that we could all see. And I think women are going to appreciate and be proud of Hillary Clinton for calling this out, because so many different women have this moment in their everyday lives, whether it be walking down the street or in the office. Do I respond and call it out, or do I just take a deep breath and and suck it up. Sometimes it's actually dangerous to call it out, not in this particular context, but I think this is something that women understand universally.
Do you think that she's going to be a bit more circumspect in this memoir?
Yes, I do. And I think that, certainly it doesn't seem she's going to be running for anything in the future, so she can be completely 100% honest about how she felt in that moment during the election and how she feels now. And it makes me sad, actually, that she feels like she let us down. I think some in the American public let Hillary Clinton down if they didn't go out and vote, if they thought she had it in the bag. And certainly, as Mark said, 12 days before the election, we all felt that way. And so I think retrospect and hindsight is always 20/20. But Hillary Clinton made women proud because she stood up to a bully, she stood up to a sexist, she stood up to Donald Trump, and I'm glad that she's being honest now.
Jonathan, do you think that we see Hillary Clinton? I'm sure, of course, she'll be out promoting the book, but there have been a lot of calls for Barack Obama to resurface, to act as a counterweight, if you will, to the current administration. Do you think that that is a role that Hillary Clinton might be willing to play in the near future, to emerge, even after the book, publicity tour, as a counterweight?
Well, I think she definitely wants to be engaged, and she certainly is looking for a way to do that in the most productive manner possible. She's going to raise money for Democratic candidates. I think the Democratic Party right now, in fact, I'm not even sure there is a Democratic Party right now. I was going to say it's pretty fractious. The Democratic Party is looking for leaders. That's why there are some folks who want to see Barack Obama come back, some folks who want to see Hillary Clinton come back. The party is at moment leaderless, and that's a problem for them going forward and trying to come up with a unified, coherent theory of the case against Donald Trump and for what a Democratic vision is. I think Hillary Clinton would like to be part of that discussion as time moves forward here, and I think she's looking for ways to do that. One interesting thing we didn't talk about, Craig, there's a little bit of a metaphor in that video of Donald Trump looming behind Hillary Clinton for what was going on more broadly in the campaign. She was never really able to put him away, and he was in her rearview mirror, and as Mark reports in that project that he undertook, Trump was able to really lock it down during the last couple weeks of the campaign. Amy Parnes and I spoke to Republicans in late October who said if he could just, act presidential or essentially act normal for the last couple weeks of the campaign, they felt like he could win. He did as much of that as he could and did in fact win.
It should be a fascinating read. Big thanks to you, Jonathan. Big thanks to you as well, Zerlina Maxwell. Next time you come back, Zerlina, I'll give you an opportunity to talk about what Jonathan just said, the Democratic Party being leaderless. President Trump, again, scheduled to take the stage.